Breaking news in the football world, and it is an absolute bombshell. After 10 years, 20 trophies, and total domination, Pep Guardiola is reportedly quitting Manchester City. Yes, you heard that right. Multiple major reports are confirming that this Sunday's final Premier League match against Aston Villa will be Pep's last dance at Etihad. Despite having a contract until 2027, the legendary manager is set to walk away at the end of the week, leaving the football world in complete shock. While Man City hierarchy are staying tight-lipped, the wheels are already turning. A massive farewell parade is scheduled for Monday, and rumor has it his successor has already been chosen, and it's a former assistant you know very well. Can City pull off a miracle title win against Arsenal to give Pep the ultimate send-off? And why is he leaving now with 1 year left on his deal? We are breaking down everything you need to know, the club's silent reaction, and who is officially lined up to replace him. If you love football, you cannot miss this. Drop a like, hit that subscribe button, and let's get right into it. Pep Guardiola quits Man City with legendary boss to leave on Sunday. Manchester City boss Pep Guardiola will leave the club following a trophy-laden decade in charge after the last game of the season. Pep Guardiola will leave Manchester City at the end of this week. The Spaniard is set to take charge of the Blues' final 2 Premier League fixtures against Bournemouth and Aston Villa before departing the Etihad. Guardiola led City to the FA Cup on Saturday as they beat Chelsea 1-0 at Wembley. And that could be the last piece of silverware for the Catalan as City boss after a trophy-laden decade in charge. City still have an outside chance of winning the title, but need to win both of their remaining games and hope Arsenal drop points against either Burnley or Crystal Palace. Guardiola has led City to 6 Premier League titles, including an unprecedented 4 in a row. He also led the Blues to their first and only Champions League triumph alongside 3 FA Cups, 5 League Cups and 3 Community Shields. Read more. What happens if Arsenal and Man City finish on same points? How Premier League title is decided. Read more. Pep Guardiola highlights his biggest title at Man City as players dealt reality check. The former Barcelona and Bayern Munich boss has long been tipped to depart Manchester at the end of this campaign, and City have now begun to tell key stakeholders ahead of an announcement on Sunday. Guardiola's contribution to City will then be celebrated at an open-top bus parade through Manche. Former Leicester and Chelsea boss Enzo Maresca is the leading candidate to replace Guardiola. He was one of Pep's assistants at City in the 2022-23 season before moving to take charge of the Foxes. Guardiola moved to City in 2016 after 4 years as Barcelona boss, then 3 in charge of Bayern Munich. On Monday alongside his players and the women's and academy teams. He won the title in his second and third seasons at the Etihad before losing out to Jurgen Klopp's Liverpool. But an unprecedented 4 in succession followed, before Arne Slot returned the title to Anfield last term. City lost the Champions League final to Chelsea in 2021, but Guardiola got his redemption 2 years later as his side beat Inter Milan to win the European Cup for the first time. It was Guardiola's first Champions League title as a manager since winning the 2010-11 edition as Barcelona boss. Manchester City's response after claims Pep Guardiola set to quit club after 10 years. New reports have suggested that legendary manager Pep Guardiola is set to leave Manchester City at the end of this season after 10 years in charge and 20 trophies at the club. Manchester City have said they will not be commenting on a fresh report that claims manager Pep Guardiola is to stand down at the end of the season. The Daily Mail has claimed Sunday's final Premier League game against Aston Villa will be the Spaniards' last after 10 years in charge. However, City will not be commenting on the publication's report, with the former Barcelona boss being not out of contract this summer. Guardiola still has a year remaining on his contract, and City's position on the matter has not changed throughout the season, despite persistent speculation over the 55-year-old manager's future. The club declined to comment when contacted by the Press Association, and Guardiola also refused to be drawn on the subject in a recent BBC interview. Guardiola gave mixed messages when asked about his future earlier on Monday. At a press conference to preview Tuesday's trip to Bournemouth, Guardiola referenced both the 1 more year on his contract and a hypothetical new 3-year deal. Yet, as he has on several occasions, he stopped short of explicitly stating he would remain at City next term. After being asked about Andoni Iraola's imminent departure from Bournemouth, Guardiola was questioned on whether he had thought about his own farewell. He sighed heavily and said, "Next question. So many times, I have one more year." Guardiola has overseen one of the most successful managerial reigns in English football history. Since his appointment in 2016, City have won 20 trophies including 6 Premier League titles and the Champions League. They have also won the FA Cup 3 times and lifted the Carabao Cup on 5 occasions, including both competitions this season. They remain in contention for the Premier League title and face Bournemouth on Tuesday, hoping to take the race with Arsenal to the final weekend. City have 2 games of their Premier League campaign remaining and need favours from elsewhere if they are to overhaul leaders Arsenal. Yet the City manager refuses to concede the fight and is focused solely on ensuring the battle goes down to the wire. Guardiola said, "The important thing is to arrive at the end with options. All we want is to be with our people in the last game to try to fight. To extend for these last 4 or 5 days, what we have to do is win at Bournemouth." There is no denying it. If these reports are true, it is the end of the most dominant era in English football history. Pep Guardiola fundamentally changed the Premier League forever, but his departure leaves a massive power vacuum at Etihad. Can Enzo Maresca step into the shoes of a genius? Or will this mark the beginning of the end for City's dynasty, especially with those 115 financial charges still looming in the background? But now, I want to hear from you. Is Pep Guardiola the greatest Premier League manager of all time? And is Enzo Maresca the right man to replace him, or are City making a massive mistake? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. I read and reply to as many as I can. If you enjoyed this breaking news update, make sure to smash that like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you never miss another football update. Thank you so much for watching. Click the video on your screen right now to see our deep dive into how the Premier League title will be decided on the final day, and we'll see you in the next one. Take care.